Hey everyone, welcome to a new episode of Fiction in Real Life. We're excited to be here and share these funny stories that we have for today. I'm here with Heather B. Moore and Jennifer Moore, who is coming to us live from Hawaii. So aloha to you. And Jen Johnson, unfortunately, can't be with us today. She recently lost her father, and I think that she's still grieving with her family. So our love and prayers go out to her and her whole family. Okay, so we've got some fun stories today that some are our own, some have been sent in about the crazy coincidences that happen in life. So we'll start with Jennifer.
Okay, yeah, I just had mine's a quick one, but this is what made me think of this topic is just this funny thing that happened to my family. My two brothers, one was living in Pennsylvania and one was living in Chicago, and they're kind of apart in age, so they weren't super keep in touch kind of people, and they were doing their own things. One was in school and one was working, and um, they so there was a game and they explained the whole thing to me why it was a big deal, but Ohio State has one of maybe the biggest, and someone will know this better than me, biggest stadium in like college stadium in the country. Maybe it's like second biggest one of those. And so there's just tons and tons of people that go there, thousands and thousands of people. And my brothers both just ran into each other at one of those games, and they didn't know that they were coming, and it was kind of a cool coincidence. So that's all. And it's not even worth voting for because it's just a funny little story. So anyway,
Well, I'm voting for
the
it.
real stuff. Oh,
I'm
thanks.
voting for it because I think it would be a really cool way to for some reason, I really like stories about like brothers who are distanced or, kind of angry, whatever, with themselves, with each other, and then they meet up. I think would be a really cool way to have like two brothers who are distanced from each other meet up, or a father and son or something like that, and kind of start off that kind of
And they've
relationship.
got something in common, the
Now they've got
football.
something in
Yeah.
common. They can make
Yeah.
amends.
Well, it makes me feel like maybe the universe would bring two people together, if not one way, then in another way. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I made it sound like they were distant. They were not.
No, you didn't.
They're great.
I just thought that. You didn't. I just said that.
Anyway.
Okay, good story. All right, so mine, I don't know what this is, if it's a coincidence or an unsolved mystery of the universe. But one time, my daughter and I had left our very favorite Korean restaurant in Orem called Yummy's. So a little shout out there. And there was this guy. We pulled out onto State Street, which is a pretty busy road. It's like 6 lanes. And there was this guy, weird guy, standing in the middle of the road. Okay, this is obviously not an exact replica of the situation, but it was kind of close. He was fully clothed and he was not in China, but he was like standing in the middle of the road, just like talking and shouting and doing all this just really weird, random things. Like, definitely he was not 100% in his right mind at that moment. So we're like, gosh, that is bizarre. What is he doing? I don't know. He's going to get hit. I hope he's okay. And then we drove home. And it's about a 15 or 20-minute drive from the Yummy's restaurant to our home. And we got to American Fork. We don't live there, but that's where we got to. That's about a 15-minute drive. You can see it on this little map. So we started clear at the beginning here. We drove all the way up straight without stopping to that red dot. And then the same guy, I swear it was the same guy, was standing in the middle of the road, talking at the traffic and shouting and doing all this weird stuff. And we're like,
in American Fork?
Yes. How did he get from the Orem Korean barbecue place all the way up to American Fork faster than us? The bus is not faster. We just went straight there. It was the weirdest thing. We're like, how is this guy in the middle of the road here again now?
And he wasn't in a car or anything. So even if
he had
driven, he would have had to go get in his car.
I guess possibly
he
jumped on a motorcycle and flew, and then
parked
in American
and
Fork
got in the road
again. I mean, that's the only true logical explanation, is that somehow he transported himself there, a car or a motorcycle, and drove faster than us. But I mean, we drove at a good speed, just
Or
straight.
he has an identical twin who
Yeah,
suffers from mental
it
illness too.
was the weirdest thing. Like, how is this guy in two places like this, standing in the middle of traffic, saying and doing all this weird stuff? I don't know. It's the unsolved coincidence. That's what I have.
That
Do you
is
know
so
what?
weird.
It
Because
sounds
you saw
like
him twice too. Like even if whether or not he was in those, however he got to those two places, you saw him at both places.
Yeah, it
yeah.
was weird. It was weird.
It sounds like if this was ancient Greece or something, that is going to be a soothsayer, and you guys should have probably listened to what he was going to say, because
Yeah.
Or
people that
if
had
it was
stuff going on
England
there.
during the medieval times, we would, burn him at the stake as a witch
Yep,
or
he was
warlock or
a
whatever.
witch, or possibly like Athena in disguise.
Yeah.
I feel like you should have maybe rolled down your window and seen what he had
rolled
to say.
over and like chatted with him. How did
Yeah.
you teleport?
That's so interesting. And the thing was, both of you guys noticed it. It wasn't like you said.
Not notice him. He was like literally in the center of the road. In the, how those have like a turning lane that sort of runs down the middle of the road. He was in that middle thing, just doing weird things and talking and shouting at cars as they drove by.
And you and Marin both. It wasn't like you said, "Is that the same guy?" And she's like, "Oh no, I don't think that's the same."
Like,
but you both were like,
yeah.
"That's the."
This is the thing.
That is really strange.
So I guess, Heather, would you book it?
I don't know. I don't know, because I feel like if I was going to book it, I would have to write something like a magic realism story. And I don't know if I'd write that. But as far as like reading it, I definitely would read it because I'm very curious. There could be like a whole mystery surrounding it. Maybe he's a time traveler. I don't know. Could be cool though.
Jennifer?
Yeah, I just can't really wrap my head around it. I want to solve the mystery for you. I think I am not good at writing mysteries or like anything with fantasy, but if I was, that is something, thumbs up. I think that's it's like a weird little way to start a kind of
because it's
interesting story. And and then like time loop, or had you guys been abducted by aliens maybe, or who knows. Anyway.
So anyway, that's my story. I don't know if I'd book it or not. I guess I'll say yes, because I do write magical realism. And I am kind of working on a story that has the same person in multiple places. So
cool.
A little bit similar, but not quite.
That is cool.
Well, hopefully that guy's okay, whatever is going on.
Tia says the time traveler idea is a great one.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, let's see. And now we have a story from Heather.
Oh, so this one was turned in by Dennis, and he's talking about him and his wife, Natalie. And this took place on December 18th, several years ago. They were delivering Christmas treats to their neighbors. And at one of their stops was the home of an elderly couple. And so Natalie took the treats up to the door while Dennis waited in the car. But all of a sudden, Natalie comes running back to get Dennis. And they found out that the man in the house was having a heart attack, and he ended up dying. So, but Natalie, she is a CPR and certified CPR instructor, so she had performed CPR, but unfortunately they were unable to revive him. So the next year on December 18th, just randomly, they go to the movies in the middle of the day because they're both on Christmas vacation, and there was only one other couple in the theater, and which was another elderly couple, and they were sitting a few rows ahead of Dennis and his wife. And during the previews, the lady started kind of freaking out, calling for help, and they found out that the man had slumped down and fallen out of his chair. So Natalie goes to help him to do CPR, and Dennis goes to call 911. Anyway, so the man ended up being fine, and he survived. But the next year, on December 18th, Natalie was coming home from a business trip when one of the flight attendants fainted and collapsed right next to Natalie's seat. And the flight attendant didn't need CPR, but it still kind of spooked Natalie. So now, during the next years after, Natalie and Dennis refuse to leave their house on December 18th.
Wow.
Or actually, he said Natalie does. So maybe Dennis is more brave, but that would definitely be a little creepy to me as well. A little bit scary to have that same date. Something happens that's pretty traumatic.
Right. Because twice is weird, but 3 times you're thinking, what is
the exact same date?
Yeah,
That
same
is
date,
weird.
December 18th. Now I'm gonna like put it in my calendar and be like, okay, should I
stay away from Natalie on December 18th?
Oh, yeah,
if you want to.
Maybe she's the bad luck here.
But it's almost, not that it's good luck, but when you're CPR trained, I mean, obviously it's great that she could go help in that situation. And especially the man that ended up passing away. I mean, if she hadn't been there and she hadn't done the CPR, then the wife would have just felt even worse, because you feel horrible in that situation. Like, what can I do? I wasn't acting fast enough, but the fact that Natalie did act fast, that might have even alleviated some of that, I don't know, regret from the wife, feeling like, well, I wish I would have done this. Well, Natalie was actually there doing it. So it's kind of a blessing in that way, I think, for the wife, even though
that's so traumatic though.
Yeah.
I mean, that's never happened to me. No one's ever collapsed around me, and it had been up to me to handle the situation. I can't imagine it happening 3 times on the same date. Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeesh.
So let's see, Jenny, would you book it?
Would I book it? Yeah, I might book it. I don't know if I'm a big believer in like certain dates bringing, but a lot of people are. My grandma sure is, she'd be like, well, it's whatever date. And, my sister and people are always saying things about, Mercury is in retrograde. I don't even know what that means. I don't even know if I said the words right, but people are believers in dates being important. So I don't know. It's kind of interesting. So I'd have to look into that and maybe try to figure out a reason that stuff like that was happening. But that's making me just kind of like do that. Yeah, I'd book it.
Heather?
Yeah, I think I would actually book it too, because not to have someone actually meet their demise, but to have like a date that becomes like a coincidence, just like Dennis was talking about. It just was December 18th for 3 years in a row. And so that is a coincidence, but then you think, well, maybe it's something more. Maybe the universe is putting me in a place to help someone, or to be on alert, or to go call for help. And so then it kind of might create like a setting for a character that is supposed to be certain places. I don't know. It wouldn't really be magic realism, I don't think. I think it could just be more like what Jenny was saying, where people have beliefs in certain, maybe even a horoscope or the phase of the moon or something.
Yeah.
Or the Christmas spirit, you know what I mean? That would be a kind of a cool Christmas story.
Well, one of our commenters here, Tia, says it's almost like a twist on Groundhog Day. Maybe she has to save a certain amount of people to break the curse of December 18th.
That is super fun. That is
wow.
So I think I would book it too. And I think it's interesting to look at the juxtaposition of, is Natalie the curse or is Natalie the blessing? Right? Is she like the angel that's there to help people? Or is it because, so if a person in their mind in your story, the character could maybe like wrestle with, oh, I can't do anything because every time I go out on this date, something bad happens. So I'm bad luck. Or am I good luck because I'm always there to help? I don't know. It's a good story.
Yeah, for sure. Especially, well, the first two, I guess on the plane, there would have been more people than just Natalie to help. But just the irony of showing up at the house just as the man needed help. And then they were the only other people in the movie theater at the time. So
I wonder how they figured it out. I don't know how they remembered the dates every time. Because I don't ever remember a date that anything happens unless it's like.
It probably was because, I don't know, because, the first date was obviously a death date. But maybe it was when the second time happened. I don't know.
It was Christmas time.
The memory pops up on your timeline on Facebook.
Yeah, like, what was the day that we went to that guy's house? Yeah. So,
yeah.
Wow.
Well, and Natalie is definitely such a bright, lovely lady. So I think she is not the curse. I think she is the Christmas angel.
I think you're probably right. She is a lovely person.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that wraps up our show for today. Thanks for joining us. And please think of your crazy stories that you have that we could possibly use in our shows. We love getting feedback and submissions from our viewers. So anything weird or out of the ordinary or scary, Halloween's coming up, so anything scary or ghosty would be great. So just think about things that have happened and send them in to fictionirlauthors@gmail.com. And thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Fiction in
Real
life.